Hey everyone, I'm Anna, also known as Anna Knita, and you can find me as Anna Knita everywhere online. Everything is linked in the description box below, so my link to my social media accounts and my Telegram knitting group. And this is a knitting and crocheting podcast, and today I share with you some of my finished objects, works in progress, the winner of the giveaway. Then I have a new giveaway because I don't know how, but suddenly I saw that we have 8,000 subscribers. Let's celebrate that with another giveaway I will talk about later. We have the German word of the day, some instant night and other knitting questions. And I will update you on what I'm reading and watching at the moment. So let's jump right in. In my last video I showed you so many finished objects and works in progress because I wasn't filming for a good amount of time, I think 2 or 3 months. This time it's not that much, but I still have something to show you. So I will start with my one and only finished object. Or I have 2 finished objects, but they are quite the same. I'm knitting simple house slippers for my guests. As I told you, in Germany it's very common to put off your shoes when you visit someone in their home. And usually we have, in Germany, we have felted slippers, guest slippers. You can buy them in many stores for the guests, especially during winter time, so they don't, so that they are not cold. I really don't like these slippers because although they are felted slippers, they are in 99% of the cases made out of acrylic, and that means you sweat in them so much and they aren't very comfortable. And that's why I'm knitting 100% wool simple house slippers in different sizes. So the last time I was showing you this pair, I think this pair was in the making. This is size M. I will hold it next to size L. There you can see a difference. Wait, I will only show you 2. So that will be easier. Yeah, there you go. L, M, and now I finished size S. 1 pair in size S, and that's this small. The pattern is called Simple House Slippers, and the designer is called Temple of Knits. If you type, so I will link it in the description box below. It's on her website. You can get it on Ravelry too. There are 2 versions, a free one. I knit several pairs with the free version, and then a paid for version, which gives you some more details on sizing. But I can tell you, you don't need the sizing options. I bought the pattern just because I wanted to donate something to the designer, since I knit so many pairs already. So I wanted to show her my gratefulness for this pattern. And this is the first time I'm knitting them for our home, for myself, so to say, for my guests. The other slippers I knit in the past were gifts for friends and family. I really like these because you have 3 sizes, but they adjust very nicely to the different foot length because of the stretchy garter starting. And I can tell you the size small is the one that fits me the best. This is worsted weight yarn, by the way, and it's written for worsted weight yarn. The size M, I would say, is already a men's size. So I can wear them, but they are quite sloppy. When my midwife visited me, it was a cooler day. It was very rainy and very unusual cold for May. And I thought, oh no, I only have these 2 slippers. So the size L and M, and she was putting her shoes off, and I asked her if she wants to wear slippers. Some people also just run on socks, you know. And she said, oh yeah, if you have one. And I thought, oh, and I told her, okay, but it could be a little bit too big for you. And they were a little bit big. She's smaller than I am, but she didn't have to walk around the flats, so she was only sitting. And after she was gone, I immediately cast on the small size, so that I now have a pair in every size. And I think I will knit 2 more in size S and 2 more in size M. And then I have this one very large pair for very, very big feet. And that should be enough. That really should be enough. If I have yarn left over, I will knit more pairs. But yeah, now I know when my midwife visits the next time, she will have warm feet. Although I hope, now that we have, now today is May 17th, I think, or 18th. I think it's 17th. I hope there won't be cold days in the near future. I told you the last time, oh, I don't think I will need my socks anytime soon. Oh yes, I needed my socks shortly after recording the video, because all of a sudden the temperatures dropped. It was very rainy and windy, and today is as well. It's very windy and cloudy. I hope, so this weekend we will have lots of rain, but I hope after Pentecost that we will have summer weather again, or spring weather. So these are my finished objects. That leads us to works in progress. I continued working on the baby blanket. The pattern is called Battenberg Blanket by Sandra Paul. Cherry Heart is her username everywhere, I think on Instagram, and I think she's on Ravelry too. And this is how much I have done. I don't know how many squares I added since last time showing, but I can show you how many I have added after I wove in the ends the last time. So I did all of that. And more than that, because I wove in the ends at one point. Of squares I crocheted, I didn't show you. Okay, I calculated again. So I will have 15 by 20 squares. That makes 300 squares in total. 115 colorful squares and 150 white squares. I had to crochet, I think, 12 more colored squares. I think I have enough now. I stopped counting, so probably I have to crochet 2 or 3 more colored squares, and that's it. So I have to attach these and the same amount of white squares, which I still have to crochet because I'm doing the join as you go method, and then this baby blanket is done. And my plan is, and I'm sticking to that for now, is to attach 6 squares every day. So that means 3 squares are already crocheted and 3 squares I do have to crochet in white and attach all the 6. And that makes it possible to finish the blanket before my next ultrasound, where I find out if our baby is a boy or a girl. And that means, I took that as a mark, because that means as soon as I find out if it's a boy or girl, I can continue knitting garments and so on. So that's my excuse to work on this pretty much monogamously, and holding myself back making baby garments, because I don't have so many neutral yarns. I have some, but not so many. I have lots of blue and lots of girly colors. No, not lots of, some girly colors, and lots of blue and boy colors, because these are the colors I feel drawn to. So I have them in my stash. That means, and I don't want to buy so much yarn, because I have to buy so much baby items in general now. So I would like to knit predominantly from my stash. That's why I need to know if it's a boy or a girl. But I still have, so the ultrasound is in June. I have still time to add all the squares and add a border and be done in time, so that's nice. What can I tell you? I think every square wears approximately 2 or at the most 3 gram. I think it's 2 gram. The white is a sport weight yarn technically, but it works very well with the colorful squares. I used the suggested yarn Sandra uses in her pattern. The white is Drops Merino, Baby Drops Merino, but it is, I would say, a light sport weight. So it's not, for a project like this you can use it, but I wouldn't use it for a pattern that calls for fingering weight yarn without knitting a swatch. I'm feeling much better working on this now, because after my sickness was gone, it always came back when I was working on this project. So I think it was a psychological thing. I was working on this in the beginning of my pregnancy when I started to feel sick. And then I reached a point of sickness where I couldn't work on anything. And then I also put this away. And I think this project reminded me of the feeling being sick and, no, how do you pronounce that word? Nauseous, however, sick. I was very sick. And I think I was successful reframing this project for me. So I still, when I still today, when I see this on my shelf and I think, oh, I have to make my 6 squares today, I have to convince myself, no, you work on this now. I don't feel naturally drawn to that project, but it's getting better. And I don't get sick anymore, but I think it's the memories connected to that blanket of feeling sick. And I'm using 2 different hooks. For the Scrappy squares, I'm using a 2.5mm hook. And for the white squares, I'm using a 3mm hook. And it works well this way. If I used a 3mm hook, I wouldn't like the fabric, so the very loose fabric it creates with the fingering weight yarn. But as you see, together in a blanket, it looks great. And I hope the colors I chose are as neutral as possible. I mean, I have pinks, but also blues and greens and browns and so on. So I think, I asked my husband as well and he agreed. I think it's suitable for boys and girls. Well, we hope this isn't our only child so in the future. That means I need some neutral things as well. Because who knows? Who knows? My next work in progress is the Scrappy scarf. I worked a little bit on it. I think I added 2 or 3 stripes. But I put this aside now in favor of the Scrappy blanket. But here is my lengthwise knit garter stitch scarf on a very long cord. I will show you a part of it. I cast on, I think I wrote down 350, but I think it's 450 stitches. I told you in the last video the correct stitch amount. Maybe I will write it on the screen. And after every row I cut the yarn and attach the yarn again and knit on. So I create securely attached fringe that I only have to knot. And I knit 2 rows of white and then 4 rows in a color, and then again 2 rows of white and then 4 rows in a color. Some colors I will repeat, some other colors I won't repeat. I'm going for a very scrappy and random look. It's all merino yarns. The white is again the Baby Drops Merino I also use in the Battenberg blanket. The needles I use are, I think, 3mm. yeah, and that's everything I can say about this project. My other work in progress is my pair of Opal socks. I did not finish them, although I put quite a dent into them. But again, I favored the baby blanket now because I need to finish the baby blanket. I'm still on time. I'm still not behind. But yeah, I don't craft that much every day because I still have to reframe the crafting for me. It still reminds me of being sick. I don't know why. So I don't feel sick working on it, but I still have to overcome this boundary, or I don't know. This is how far I am. Here is where, here I stopped. No, that's that's not where I stopped. I think when I last showed you, I was here. This is a lovely stitch marker or progress keeper. Wait. And this was where I was the last time, and that's everything I knit. And here is a loose stitch. I have to sew in the end. Sometimes that happens and I lose a stitch, but it's not a big deal. The pattern is called Skyppy Stripes. It's a free pattern. Everything is linked in the description box below. The yarn is Opal subscription yarn. It will be in a collection in autumn, but I won't sell the collection because I will be due in autumn. So there won't be new yarns in my shop in the near future. I sell my old yarns I still have left, undyed yarns and opal yarns, in my Telegram group. Here's the second sock. It was finished already last time. The pattern is only on one side, over 10 stitches. It's very much fun. Perfect for very busy yarn. If you like to knit self-striping and self-patterning yarns and variegated yarns, and you are not sure which pattern you could pick, so the pattern doesn't suck, no, the yarn doesn't suck in the pattern, so to say, I recommend this Skyppy Stripes. It's very easy, it's only over 10 stitches, you can put it onto every sock, every shoe size, and it's fun and a repeat of 2 rounds. That means easily memorizable. What else? Oh yeah, I think I crocheted a little bit on my triangular butterfly shawl for my maternity dress. But again, I put it aside in favor of the blanket. Here is the start. Yeah, you can see the pattern here. It's a, I think 4 or 5 row repeat, very easy, free pattern, link in the description box below. The yarn I used is, I didn't write it down, oh no, oh no, ha, I have the tag here. Dirty Water Dye Works. And the base is called Lillian. It's 100% super wash merino. I will see if 1 skein is enough. So the pattern is written for 1 skein, but the last time I used 2 and I liked the size. And it would fit my maternity dress very well, so I could also wear the dress when it gets colder again, or in the evenings here in Thuringia. It gets quite cold. Because I don't want to buy so many maternity garments. So I need layering options. I used a 3mm hook again. What else? Today I tried to be a little bit quicker. Oh, the Christmas memories blanket. I'm not quite sure how many squares I added the last time. Let me see. Oh, I think you saw these 2. And I only added the white part, and now I would have to add the next Christmas color. This will be my Christmas blanket. This will be the next ball I use. I have many different colorways of these, and I'm using Opal Pure White as contrast and 2.5 millimeter DPNs, 8-inch DPNs, because they are very nice to work with, very light. I like wooden needles. I like that they are light in weight, and for garter stitch they are definitely pointy enough. I can tell you. These were my works in progress. That was a quick ride, I think, but well, the last podcast was very, very long. Now we come to the winner of this yarn. So I asked you the last time, if you want to win this, please tell me what you want to make with it. And many of you want to make the baby blanket I made for my friend in the blocked or boxed stitch pattern. I think it is blocked stitch. That was very sweet. I read through all the comments and I picked the comment by, I will put it on the screen, Barb Parsalakwa 3257, and she wrote, "Congratulations, God's timing is perfect." It is. I would use the bubble for a baby blanket for our By Our Hands ministry at my church. So please, I think you are called Barbara, I guess, because it's Barb. Please, Barbara, contact me at info@ananida.com. Tell me that you are the winner and send me your shipping information, and I will ship this out to you. Yes. And because we have 8,000 subscribers, I thought, let's do another giveaway. And the yarn you can win is by Opal. We have 3 150 gram balls with sport weight yarn, so maybe something you never tried before, because Opal is very famous for the fingering weight yarn, but this is sport weight. And I have a sock knitting table on Etsy if you need the numbers, what and how much to cast on and how many inches you have to knit for a sport weight sock, if you not already have a recipe for sport weight socks, or you can make something else. I think, how much did I use for a scarf? So you can make scarves out of them. You could also pair them. You can do so much with them, or something for a child. So we have 3 sport weight Opal yarns. So all in all, 450 gram of yarn, because these balls are bigger. And to win this Opal yarn set, what could we do as a prompt? Oh yes, I know. Please tell me, how do you watch my podcast? What do I mean by that? Usually when you hit the play button, do you sit there with your knitting projects and a cup of your favorite beverage and watch my show? Or do you watch my show while you clean your house or cook your meal for the family? I would be very interested in that. What is your watching habit with my podcast? What do you do while watching my podcast? And then I will pick one of your comments and you can win this prize. And I will announce the winner in the next video, so approximately in 2 weeks. So make sure you watch the next podcast to find out if you won the prize. Yeah, that's fun. I should do more. I should make more giveaways. That's very much fun. I like to give away yarn. Now we come to the German word of the day. I thought we should take the word Schwangerschaft, pregnancy. Pregnancy in German is Schwangerschaft. And I looked up the origins of the word schwanger. So schwanger is the adjective, pregnant, schwanger. And it means something like, it's not a 100% proven, because they are not very sure, but they assume that the old German word Zwanger means heavy. That is not very nice. So Schwanger, Schwangerschaft. Schwangerschaft is the noun, pregnancy. I took this word because I am pregnant. And we have another, that would be my question for you. We have two different words, and I don't like it when German people don't use the correct word for human or animal. And I would be interested how you do this in English. So we have a word for humans, so women being pregnant, schwanger, and we have a word for animals being pregnant. I don't know what you say, and we say trächtig. We have many different words we use, so verbs, and especially verbs, we use for humans but not for animals, and the other way around. For example, a human is eating, essen, and an animal is not eating, it is, the verb is fressen. We would not use this for a human unless we want to insult the human. For example, someone is eating way too much, way too much, and it is disgusting and so on, then it can happen that someone says he is eating like a pig, but he doesn't use the word eating, which is the verb for the human, but the word fressen. Only animals fressen in German. So, and humans, women, so female human beings are pregnant, and animals, female animals, are trächtig. Or for example, when my dad was a child, they used two different words for dying. So dying when the end of your life comes, not dying with colors. And there's one for humans and there's one for animals. And I barely hear the word for animals anymore because our pet usually is like a family member, and probably it sounds a little bit rough to our ears. But I think in general, we should use our specific words for the specific creatures, so humans and animals. So female human beings are pregnant, schwanger, and the animals are trächtig. Yeah, that's interesting. Please tell me, do you have different words for animals and humans when it comes to eating, being pregnant, or something else, for example, that I can't think of now? That was... Oh, no, there's another thing for the German word of the day. We have, in the past, unfortunately, many people don't use that anymore, or maybe don't understand it anymore. Schwanger, so pregnant, was very in your face. A word, not that it was impolite, but people back then were a little bit more decent and more polite and weren't talking about these matters so directly. So there were ways to describe the circumstances the woman was in. For example, being in indifferent circumstances. In anderen Umständen sein in German. Being in different circumstances would mean the woman is schwanger, is pregnant. Or there's another one, she is, I don't know how to translate it, she is in good hope, or she is of good hope. I think she is in good hope. Eine Frau ist guter Hoffnung, guter Hoffnung sein. Being in good hope is also the synonym for being pregnant. So you don't have to use the German word pregnant, because it's so on your nose. And I think it's lovely to describe it that way. She is in good hope. Beautiful, it's beautiful. If you compare it to nowadays, where you run to the doctor for everything and they check everything and take your blood and take your urine and do a gazillion ultrasounds and so on, and fear-mongering the poor woman because you could have this and their baby could have this. There isn't much space for good hope. There is a lot of fear. And I think our society should come back to being in good hope, being pregnant, and not fear-mongering all the time about everything that could happen. Maybe there is a connection between the current way of treating pregnancy and the lost phrase of being in good hope. There could be a connection. Now we come to our last segment, and second last segment. I have some Insta-Knit and some other knitting questions I want to answer, and feel free to answer them yourself in the comments down below. First one, just tell us what's for dinner. That was an Insta-Knit question, I think, a few weeks ago. Okay, today when I'm recording this, it's Friday, and I'm a Catholic. That means something without meat, definitely. Usually Friday evenings we eat very simple. So in Germany it's pretty common, and I think not in the US, please tell me if I'm wrong. It's very common to eat bread for evening. So we call it Abendbrot, evening bread. And we have sliced bread and ham and cheese and maybe a boiled egg. So I will definitely add a boiled egg to the evening bread today. Or maybe some carrots and cucumbers and so on. So like a breakfast, like a German breakfast, but for the evening. Yeah. That will be our dinner today, so our Abendbrot. Is there a pattern that you loved enough to knit it numerous times? So the simple house slippers I have knit quite a lot. My vanilla socks, so my sock pattern, if you want to call it a pattern. Numerous times, so that would be more than 2 times. I think the dishes by the Block magazine, so it's not always the same pattern. It's the same stitch amount and the same row count, but the pattern is always different. It's always a surprise, and it comes out in every second issue, I think. So the pattern, that is much fun. Yeah, there's this baby sheepish little sweater, I think, baby sweater, but I only knitted 2 times so far, so that is not numerous. Oh, my Easter egg pattern and the, how it's called? The sock yarn sweaters, the sweater ornaments I knit in the past. They are very much fun, and they are so cute to look at. They are hanging in at our garlands in the living room. Have you ever attempted to teach someone to knit or to crochet? Unfortunately not. But I remember years ago when I was a primary school teacher, one of my students came to me, the one German student I had, because I was in Austria, and she felt so her parents were German. She was born in Austria, and she was very connected to me because I'm German, and she saw me knitting before class many times. So when I was in the classroom already, but it wasn't 8 yet, and the children were allowed to play and roam around, I was sitting behind the teacher's desk and was knitting and watching the children. And then she came to me and asked many questions, and because she saw me knitting, she wanted to learn this at home, so someone taught her at home, or maybe even at school, but I don't think so. I think she was 3rd grade, and knitting is taught in Austria in 4th grade, I think. And then she came to me with her knitting and asked some questions, how to do something, or if I could fix a mistake. That's the only attempt I had teaching knitting. That was so sweet. I would love to teach someone, especially children, to knit. What motivates you to knit? What motivates me? So that's always interesting to ask yourself while having a knitting slump or something. So I realized when I had my last knitting slump, so I was lacking any motivation because I was sick and so on, I realized that I felt so much discomfort when we were sitting on the couch watching something, and I really wanted to watch it because it was funny or interesting, but I wasn't working on something. I can't understand how people sit in front of a TV or any screen and only watch something. So because I was feeling so sick, I wasn't able to read something. I I don't know, I lived. It was everything. So I laid on the sofa and was watching something. And I always felt the urge to be more productive or to do something with my hands. So I think that is the biggest motivation for me, to be doing something. Something that is fun, but also useful. I think that is my biggest motivation now that I experienced my last knitting slump, where it wasn't lacking motivation what was holding me back to knit. I think that's my biggest motivation. Yeah. Yes, and the relaxing effect and the end result that you have something pretty in your hands and so on. But being productive, I think that's it. That could be a problem, I don't know. If that's your main focus, probably that's a problem. But being so unproductive while only watching a screen felt I was miserable. Yeah. Are you interested in fashion trends and do they affect your knitting? Not the slightest. I couldn't care less. So, I don't know. I think I never really paid attention to trends in fashion and so on. First of all, I'm a Catholic. That explains a lot, right? So, even when I was a teenager, there were many trends. And my mom was just saying, you won't leave the house that way. And thank God she did that. When I hear parents sometimes saying, well, what should I do? She wants to wear it. What can I do? Saying no? I don't know. That's what my parents did. And that will be what I'm doing. Yeah, so many trends involve being half naked. So that wasn't a thing for me, and it's still not a thing for me. So I don't like all the... If I try to buy dresses or skirts or something, it's so difficult because they are all so short or have no sleeves and so on. And that's something I don't wear. I wore in the past, but I don't do that anymore. I don't feel... No, especially since I'm together with now my husband. I think, no, it's not appropriate for me. It's just not, and I don't feel so comfortable in these garments. So, and then when it comes to colors, I don't wear the colors that are trendy right now. I wear the colors that suit me. So usually it's blue and red and natural tones. So that's that. And when it comes to knitting, I talked about it in the past. All these cropped sweaters, woolly cropped sweaters, I don't have a use for that. Then all these crazy 5-6 colored scarves, for example, by Stephen West. I'm sure they are lots of fun to make, but I don't wear these kind of things. So most of the trends aren't useful for me. One of the big trends I haven't followed yet, but I have it on my knitting list, is the Sophie scarf, for example, which basically is a garter stitch scarf, and I think a similar pattern existed before, so that I know there is a free pattern as well. That is usually a very simple looking scarf in one color, and you can use it you can use it with all your garments in your wardrobe. I love these kind of things, but those usually don't get trendy. So the Sophie scarf is an exception. Yeah. And now we come really to the last segment, and this is what I was watching and reading, if you're interested in that. So, the Daily Wire has 2 new shows I watched, and the first one is Judged by Matt Walsh. And is it the right way to say that? I was anticipating that so much. I was looking forward. He's my most favorite host because I like his humor and he's great. He's doing lots. I would love to be an American, so I would have people I could look up to. We don't have these kind of people in Germany. It's so yeah. Okay. So Matt Walsh is my favorite host, and he's so funny. His dry sarcasm is just I enjoy it very much. So I was looking forward to Judged, and I watched all the available episodes or seasons already. And I still don't know what to do with this show. I don't know how serious I should take it, because we have, in Germany, we have these judge shows as well. They usually run during so noon, early and late noon. It's not the highest quality TV show you can get in Germany. It's usually very stupid and the actors are usually not talented and it's just cheap entertainment. And I don't watch these. But Judged is different. I'm still not sure if they... So the cases are real. They say the cases are real, but I think the people are actors. And I'm not sure if these actors do improvs. So is it the word? Yeah. Or if it's completely scripted, because sometimes they burst out in laughing when Matt Walsh is saying something. And as real actors, they shouldn't do that. But if they improvise on stage, so to say, that would make sense. That would make the show even funnier, because then I don't have to take these actors seriously, because their acting isn't the best. Not as bad as German actors in these shows, not at all, not close to being that bad. But I don't know how serious I should take this show. But it's entertaining, it's definitely entertaining. So if you haven't tried it, and if you are a member, a Daily Wire member, you should watch it. I love the Matt Walsh stuff. Everything he touches turns to gold, really. And the second new show, also on the Daily Wire, we predominantly watch Daily Wire and Raggae because the TV is... We pretty much don't use cable TV at all here in Germany. It's... That's the second time today that I wanted to use a not nice word. Yeah, no, we don't watch TV. German TV is very, very bad. German movies are usually very, very bad. I don't like that. Not talking about the indoctrination and all that. So I want to be entertained and not taught to, you know? And yeah, the second show is Mr. Bircham. And again, I don't know what to do with this show. We were looking forward to Mr. Bircham so much because the style is like The Simpsons and the humor seems to be clean. I always like that. But not against and not against our values. That's also a thing, you know? It's very difficult to find TV shows that are not teaching against your values you have or your standards. So Mr. Bircham definitely has these things, but we only watched the first episode. I'm not sure. We both, my husband and I, we aren't sure if we like it because it was very quick and every scene was very short. It was quite funny, and it's nice to hear the voices of the people you know. For example, Brad Cooper is voice acting one of the characters there. So I will give this another watch definitely, because there is one other episode online, I think. And the book I'm reading currently, so one of the two books I'm reading currently, I don't know if the one I'm reading is available in English and how to describe in English what it's about. So it's about let me say it like that, the one book is about the last secretary, you know, of the Pope, of Pope Benedict, Georg Genswein, and he is revealing how the things in the Vatican played out after Francis became Pope. That's very interesting, and I really like Georg Genswein, so Archbishop Georg Genswein. I'm a huge fan of him, and I really like him for years now, and this book is very interesting, but I don't know how the English title is, and if there is an English translation yet. I know it's published in Italian and in German. But the other book I wanted to talk about is called The Toxic War on Masculinity by Nancy Pearcey. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Boy, that is a good book. So many resources about the beginning of the United States, how the family was structured, how voting was structured, you know, the family vote against the individual vote that came after the industrialization, and how the industry changed the family setup, that the father was leaving the home and what made this to the family, how it affected women, and in general. It's so interesting. It's so interesting. So there's much history, many surveys, so many numbers on many different topics regarding gender roles, I would say. Very interesting. I so definitely can recommend this. So the title is The Toxic One, Masculinity, because it's criticizing calling masculine traits toxic masculinity. So I'm sure some of my viewers are interested in these kind of books. It's amazing. It's really amazing. And now that I can focus better again on these kind of things, I started to read it again, and I think it's an audiobook as well, but I definitely wanted to have the printed copy so I can quote it for articles I write or when I talk to people, because when people talk about feminism or voting rights and so on, they always talk about the past as if it was only a nightmare for women and all men were beasts and brutal and so on. And she is giving you the evidence that that is not true. It is not true at all. And how Christianity changes the game. And what happens if men, she's focusing on men here, what happens if men lose their, if men start or stopping being Christians? What does this to the masculinity? We have how it's called, the Red Pill movement now, all these guys who are telling the other guys not to marry and how awful women are and all women are the same and so on. So that's where we are now. And some people think of men of the past, 200, 300 years ago, that way. But that's not true, because these men were Christians back then. Very, very interesting. So it focuses on the USA. And I learned a lot about the history of the USA, and as I said, the voting system and how your country, so you Americans, how your country was structured, and so mind-blowing, really. So it's... I wish Germany was more like the US. I really wish our history was more like the American history. I really have to say that, because we have so much. Germans don't want to be free, and the Americans put so much effort in the past to be free. Yeah, little government and so on. And Germans don't want to be free. They want to be taken care of, and so that's why we don't have movements here in Germany like in the US. Well, maybe one day we will move or we can convert the Germans and change their minds. But until then, I would say I should focus on knitting and you should enjoy your knitting. And we will see each other in 2 weeks. Bye bye!